Good evening, I'm Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Political parties unable to reach consensus on the work order of the probe committee to investigate fraud of cooperatives. Nepali Congress agrees to let Home Minister to provide answers at today's session. 7 individuals arrested for their alleged involvement in the murder of traffic police Yuvraj Khimere. Investigation on the incident ongoing. Indians to cast their ballots tomorrow for the 5th phase of the world's largest electoral exercise as the country's national election enters its final stages after weeks of heated campaign barbs. And final stage matches of the English Premier League tonight. EPL champion to be decided. City and Arsenal fighting for the title. Seven individuals were arrested for their alleged involvement in the murder of traffic police Yuvraj Khimere. 32-year-old Khimere was serving as a traffic police at the Traffic Police Circle, Darbar Marg. His dead body was retrieved last Monday at the capital's Manamaiju in Karkishore 9. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why has Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal said that condition would come for him to take the vote of confidence from time to time? Your options are A, move to change the alliance, B, indication of party split, and C, result of not having majority. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Let's move on to international update. Indians will cast their ballots tomorrow for the 5th phase of the world's largest electoral exercise as the country's national election enters its final stages after weeks of heated campaign barbs and seemingly lower than expected voter enthusiasm. 49 constituencies will be up for grabs across 6 states and 2 federally administered territories. The main opposition, Congress Party's leader Rahul Gandhi, is on the ballot in the family bastion of Rai Bareli in the northern Uttar Pradesh state, while Minister of Defence Rajnath Singh will be seeking a 3rd term in Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh. Voting in the 7th-phase elections kicked off on April 19, and the last phase will be held on June 1st, concluding a mammoth exercise in which at least 969 million people are registered to vote. People from across 36 states and union territories are expected to elect 542 representatives to the Lok Sabha, the parliament's lower house. Votes will be counted on 4th of June. The first 4 phases, April 19, April 26, May 7 and May 13th, saw a voter turnout of 66.1%, 66.7% and 61% and 67.6% respectively. Most political parties are aligned with 2 major coalitions, the National Democratic Alliance NDA, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's governing Bharatiya Janata Party BJP, and the International Developmental Inclusive Alliance, India, a coalition of 26 parties led by the main opposition party, Congress. More than 800,000 people, or nearly half of the population of Rafah, have been forced to flee the area since the Israeli forces started the military operation there on 6th of May, according to Philippe Lazzarini, the Commissioner General of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA. In response to evacuation orders demanding people to flee to so-called safe zones, people went to areas without safe water and sanitation facilities, the chief said. Lazzarini also said that Gaza does not have safe zones today. No places or people are safe. Many Palestinian families in Gaza have been forced to flee multiple times, with some being displaced every month, UNRWA said in a statement. UNRWA also said that the Israeli army's safe zones claim is false and misleading. Thousands gathered in front of the Democratic Progressive Party DPP headquarters in Taipei today to protest against the ruling party. Protesters, mainly supporters of the small opposition Taiwan People's Party TPP, could be seen shouting slogans and waving guavas that were handed out by the organizers. A guava ticket signifies a vote that led to no results in Taiwan, in this case showing dissatisfaction with the DPP not delivering on election promises. Lai Ching-te takes office as Taiwan's new president tomorrow, facing an angry and deeply suspicious China, which believes he is a separatist, and a fractious parliament with an opposition chomping at the bit to challenge him. A tourist couple was injured in India's Kashmir after militants fired on them late last night ahead of voting schedule in the volatile region for India's ongoing election. The couple from the Indian city of Jaipur was evacuated to the hospital, and the area where the attack took place was cordoned off, Kashmir police said on social media. They said the condition of the injured tourist is said to be stable. In a separate incident, unknown militants shot dead former village headman and Bharatiya Janata Party member Aizaz Ahmad Sheikh in Shopian district on Saturday. A funeral was held in his village on Sunday. India is in the middle of a marathon election, with the remaining 2 seats in Kashmir going to polls on May 20th and 25th. Voters turned out in large numbers for polling in the first seat in Srinagar on 13th of May, reversing the trend of low vote counts in the first polls since Prime Minister Narendra Modi removed the region's semi-autonomy in 2019. Modi's BJP is skipping elections in Kashmir for the first time since 1996, saying it will support regional parties instead. The last major attack on tourists in Kashmir had happened in 2017 when a Hindu pilgrimage bus was targeted, killing 8 people. London's High Court will hold a hearing tomorrow to consider fresh assurances provided by the United States that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange will be able to rely on the First Amendment protections for freedom of speech and will not face the death penalty if extradited from Britain to the US. The hearing will determine if Assange is being deported to the US or if he can have an appeal in Britain. The 52-year-old is wanted by the US prosecutors on 18 charges, all bar one under the Espionage Act, over WikiLeaks' release of thousands of confidential US military records and secret diplomatic cables. In March, the High Court provisionally gave Assange permission to appeal, but said satisfactory assurances that the US would not seek the death penalty and would allow him a First Amendment right to free speech in trial would make this unnecessary. Those submissions were subsequently delivered in April and will be the focus of Monday's hearings, with Stella Assange labeling the guarantees as weasel words. South Korea's 7 million individually owned businesses are wrestling with survival amid the throes of high inflation and souring costs, which are mainly engaged in catering and retail industries, representing over 20% of the country's total employed population. According to South Korea's Real Estate Research Institute, the store vacancy rate hit a record high of 13.7% across the country in the first quarter of this year. Even capital cities, Seoul's glitzy districts such as Gangnam and Itaewon are filled with empty restaurants and shops.
고려해야 되고 해서 저희가 인상 요인이 있지만 인상을 못 하고 있는 그런 실정입니다. 대출금으로 제가 유지를 했는데 그게 이제 2%대에서 점점점 올라가서 지금 이제 거의 6%대. 그 부분이 저희들한테는 그 현상 유지가 가장 힘들다고 말씀드릴 수 있습니다.
Unlike some, many restaurant owners choose to frequently increase menu prices in response to the ever-rising costs, which has resulted in customer decline and business closure. As of now, the cost of dining out has been higher than the overall price increase rate for 35 consecutive months in South Korea, and the closing rate of restaurant businesses stood at 10% last year, the highest since 2005. Most of the small businesses sustaining operation are heavily debt-ridden. The data shows that nearly 60% of individually owned businesses rely on loans to maintain operations, and at the end of this March, the total debt of South Korea's individually owned businesses came in about 1,112 trillion won, about $821.03 million, an increase of 51% from 2019.
소위 말 최저임금이라든지 임금에 대한 부분, 그 다음에 상가 임대료 관련된 부분, 종합 지원 대책이 이루어져야만.
As international oil prices remain at high levels, that Korean won continues to weaken, the trend of rising prices is said to persist, and the country's central bank, Bank of Korea, continues to maintain high benchmark interest rates. Individually owned businesses are burdened with loan repayments and are likely to stay financially distressed in the short term. Industry insiders called for increased efforts to support small businesses. Now, massive swarms of Mormon crickets have been invading northern Nevada and creating issues for homeowners, farmlands and businesses. Social media footage showed thousands of the insects blanketing the exterior of a home in Spring Creek, Nevada on Saturday, with the owner using a leaf blower to clear the encroaching bugs. The flightless insects, which can grow up to around 2 inches, have been swarming the U.S. state of Nevada for the past week, local media said. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said that as the Mormon crickets spread across agricultural land, they could bring about economical and ecological damage.